Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to walk you through hip thrusts, how to do them, why to do them, how to set up for them, what are some common mistakes and how to fix those mistakes, what are some different varieties that you can do, what kind of equipment do you need. I'm going to go through all of that with you today. So if you're looking to lift your booty, sculpt your booty, if you feel like your booty is kind of flat and you want to shape it, you want to work on your influencer pose, I can't really do that. That is what hip thrusts are great for. They're going to be one of your big money moves along with squats and deadlifts and lunges. So let's start. I'm going to show you just a few body weight reps to show you what a good hip thrust looks like. That's what a hip thrust looks like. That's body weight only. I'm going to show you a lot of ways to weight it today. The most important thing to get started is the setup. Whatever way you set these up, you want to be sure that you are hinging from just under your shoulder blades. So the height of the bench you use is important. You can see here I'm using an aerobic step with risers. This works really well. A lot of benches at the gym are a little too high. And I'll show you what you can do if you have a bench that's a little too high. First thing you can do is look for a lower bench. Sometimes the bench press bench is a little bit lower. You can also use a bench that goes on a decline and go ahead and decline it a little bit so that, and here's the important point, you want to be having the top edge of the bench that you're going to thrust from aligned with just under your shoulder blades. So there. You don't want it up here. You're not hinging from up there. Let me show you on my regular bench. So here's my standard bench. You see if I sit in front of that, I don't have the underside of my shoulder blades lined up at the top of the bench. It's hitting me up much higher than that. So what you can do in this case, if you don't have access to an aerobic step with risers, you don't have access to a lower bench or a decline bench, you can use a bench of this height. You're going to want to secure it against a wall. Actually, in any case, with all of these, you're going to want to shove your bench that you're using against a wall so that it's supported and stable. Go ahead and shove this against a wall. I can't do that here where I'm videoing. Then, to get into position, you can use your forearms to get you up so you are hinging from just under your shoulder blades. Now notice in the bottom position, my butt is not on the floor anymore, which is fine. You're going to come all the way up and down. I'm hinging from just under my shoulder blades. So once you have your bench stabilized, we're pretending there's a nice wall here behind me, your bench is stabilized, you have your shoulder blades set so they're in line with the top edge of your bench. Next thing you're going to do is get your feet in position. To do that, you're going to go ahead and come to the top position of the hip thrust where your body is parallel, your torso is parallel to the floor. And then what you want to do is you want to move your feet to the position where your shins are roughly vertical. If your feet are out too far here, you're going to feel this more in your hamstrings. If your feet are in too far, it will be felt more in your quads. You want to set up so that your shins are roughly vertical. You can use a mirror to figure that out. You can have someone tell you. You can set up your phone so that you can see. So that's the position you want to be in at the top. As far as your stance, a good place to try starting is about shoulder width apart, toes facing forward. Now, you can try different stances. You might feel this more in your glutes if you turn your toes out a bit. If you do a little bit more of a narrow stance, you can try lots of different things. Go ahead and start with feet shoulder width apart, toes facing forward, and give that a go first. All right, we have our shoulders set. We have our feet set. We have our stance set. Let's talk about head position. So here we are. We're in the top position. No matter which position you're in, I want you to notice what my head is doing. I'm taking my chin and I'm tucking it and I'm looking straight ahead. So I'm going to pick something out there on the wall in front of me and look at it straight ahead. And I keep that position whether I'm here in the bottom or at the top. Chin is tucked, eyes are gazing forward versus doing this where you look up. The reason being, when you look up like this, there's a greater tendency to overarch your lower back. We don't want you to do that. We want you to come up to the top and finish with your glutes, not with your back. So to help with that, chin is tucked, eyes face forward. Boom, like that. All right, what do you do with your arms? If you're doing a body weight version like this, a lot of times people you'll see doing body weight versions when they do single leg, you can take your arms and just shove the backs of your arms into the bench like this. I make fists like this and up like that. You could put your arms out like this. You'll see a lot of people do that. I don't like it. The reason being is, one, once you get some weight on your lap, you're going to need to be holding on to the weight to steady it. Two, this does not feel good on my shoulders at all. And that might just be because I have wonky shoulders. The other reason being, people can tend to push with their arms to help get the weight up, and we don't want you to do that. We want you to be using your glutes. So arms are here, up like this. Boom. So now we're ready to move. All things are positioned, so let's go. Here you go. You're gonna push through your heels to come up, pushing through your heels. As you're pushing through your heels, you're gonna push your knees out so that they remain over your middle toes. You're gonna come all the way up at the top until you're at full hip extension. Squeeze your glutes at the top and tuck your tailbone under. It's called a posterior pelvic tilt. When you come up to the top, imagine that you're a dog that just got in trouble and you tuck your tailbone under. Boom. Like that. At the top, your shoulders, your torso, your hips, your knees should all be in a straight line. Here. And then you come back down. Here. And come back down. I'm going to show you that posterior pelvic tilt at the top again. You're going to come up, 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 up. As you get to the top, tuck your tailbone under, squeeze your glutes hard to finish. Finishing with your glutes. So let's talk about a couple of common mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes is messing up the setup. Setting up, hinging from too high up on your shoulder blades. So nail that setup I shared with you at the beginning. Another common mistake is letting your head flare up like this at the top. Now, it is possible. You can go up, and if you do look up, it's possible that you'll still keep your spine in alignment here. It so often leads to overarching though, so keep your chin tucked. Don't overarch your spine at the top. Also, keep your ribs down. You can sometimes see people doing this. Can you see how my ribs are flaring out? So I want you to think ribs down. Okay, moving as one unit from here to here. Ribs stay down. Another common mistake you'll see is people pushing through their toes instead of through their heels. So here we go. See, up on the toes. Pressure through the toes. Can you see that? I'm going to exaggerate a little bit so you can see it. You're not really going to see people do this, but watch how my heels come up. You will see people's heels coming up. So think about pushing through your heels, and to do that, you can either keep your feet totally flat and push through your heels, or you can come up and have your toes come up and push through your heels that way. Either of those is fine. You just don't want to be pushing through your toes. A final and super important common mistake to correct is not coming up to full hip extension. So remember, at the top, you want to be fully extended here. If you're stopping here, you're not fully activating your glutes. You're not going to get the most out of this exercise, even if you're stopping here. So, fixing for this, you want to consciously come all the way up at the top and squeeze your glutes to finish. If you find yourself struggling to do that, it's likely because you either have too much weight or you've done too many reps. So you need to check your ego and reduce the weight, reduce the reps. Every rep, all the way up at the top, finish by squeezing your glutes. Once you have mastered doing the hip thrust with body weight only, you're definitely going to want to add weight. It's one of the great things about this exercise. You can weight it really heavy. I'm going to show you how to do that with a barbell here in just a minute. But the next stop after body weight should be using a dumbbell. Here's how I like to get it on my lap. As the dumbbells get heavy, it feels really awkward to sit the weight next to you and kind of twist and put it up on your lap. So I do it by standing up, putting the dumbbell in my lap, and then scooting into position with the dumbbell already placed on my lap. You're going to want to make sure that the dumbbell is centered over your hips, and then you go ahead and do your reps. Make sure you're holding on to the dumbbell. I have had people send me form check videos, and they're just out like this, and that weight can easily fall off. So lightly hold on to the dumbbell. Let's weight it up even heavier. To do that, you're gonna need a barbell. Now you see I have some padding here. If you use a barbell to do this movement and you don't put any padding here, you are not gonna like how that feels. It's gonna leave bruises and it's not gonna feel good. So, squat sponge is really good for this. You just slip it over the bar like this. It's nice and thick. You'll see people trying to do this with just like a yoga mat. That is not enough padding. You would need a bunch of yoga mats and it's gonna be really awkward. It's not a great idea. These are not very expensive on Amazon to buy one of these squat sponges. I will tell you, I bought this one first. The problem with it is it just pops off. So I'll have a couple of 100 pounds on here and this thing's popping off. So I saw this one and I bought it and I liked it. The only difference is it has these Velcro straps. So you can just, you could just literally get some Velcro straps yourself and put it over this, or you could just buy this one. This one, I don't know the name of it, but I typed it, oh, here we go. I do. Fit Viva. Fit Viva is this one, and I liked it because it comes with these straps. Once I strap it on there, it stays. So if you don't have access to either of these, you don't want to buy one on Amazon, again, they're super cheap. Most gyms have these. It's a balance pad, Eric's balance pad. You will put this one like this on your lap and fold it over like that. A lot of people use these. I find it pretty awkward. I don't really want all that sitting in front of me. That's why I like the squat sponge version. So, by the way, it's gonna look like this barbell is just moving around super easily, and that's because it is. This is a child's bar. I'm using it because it fits really well in this tiny space I have to do filming. Your bar will be longer if you're using a standard barbell from your gym. So, it's really actually not hard to set these up. The hardest part is, you're loading heavy weight on and off the ground. You can load them up pretty heavy, so you're gonna be putting several plates on eventually. So you put the pad over the bar. You're gonna wanna make sure when you have that on there, that the pad is centered on the bar and that the bar is centered on your lap. It's really easy to get it so it's off, and you'll notice right away if it is, in which case you'll just push it back off and put it on again so that it is centered over your hips. Now, you can see I have used these bumper plates, so literally I can just roll this into position. You see that? I just roll it into position. So bumper plates, these are only 10 pounds. They're the same diameter as a big 45-pound plate. Eventually, if you get up to using, not if, when you get up to using at least a 45-pound plate, you won't need these anymore. But when you're first starting and you just want to use like the bar and a little bit of weight, use the bumper plates. So they come in all different weights. These are 10 pounds. And then you can literally sit, put your legs straight, roll that right up over your legs, make sure it's centered, and then you will just lift. Your hands, just have them lightly here on the bar, and up you go. All the way down, up again, remembering to come to full hip extension at the top. Boom. Now I do want to show you what to do if you are at a gym where the benches are a little bit higher than this. Remember I said if you don't have one that's low enough to the ground, I'll show you how to get the barbell on and get up onto the bench all in one or two easy moves. All right, I have my barbell, I have my pad, I have the bench. It's a little too high up here on my shoulder blades. So what you do, you roll the bar into position, again centering it over your hips. Then from here, you bend your knees, use your forearms, push through to come up, and then you'll hinge from here. Again, you won't be coming all the way down to the bottom, so your butt's not going to be tapping the floor, and that's okay. So from that position is how you do it. Bottom, just walk it all the way down. Remembering, you need to have this secured against a wall. Definitely have it secured against a wall. So you can include hip thrusts in your lower body programming as a main move of the day. So if you use the barbell, keep the weight heavy, keep the reps between 1 and 5, include them there. You can include them in the 8 to 12 rep range in the middle part of your workout. So you can do that with a barbell, you can do that with a heavy dumbbell. You can also include them towards the end of your workout in a very high rep range, 15, 20 reps. You can do that with dumbbells. You can do that with bands. You can do that single leg. I'm going to show you the single leg variety here in just a second. So you can use this exercise in all rep ranges, and I would suggest that you do. So here's what a single leg variety looks like. This one is actually, you're definitely going to want to start this with body weight only. If you do this for high reps, body weight is plenty. So here we go. Here, come up into your position, lift one leg. Remember to push through the heel. That's the single leg variety. If you are going to weight it, you're going to want to take the dumbbell and center it over the stance leg. So don't keep it in the middle of your lap. Put the dumbbell over the stance leg. You can also do what's known as a B stance hip thrust. You can do this with dumbbells or you can do it with a barbell. To do this, you'll assume your normal hip thrust position. Then you'll take one leg, straighten it out, flex your foot, and put your heel down just in front of the toes of your stance leg. This leg is just going to be to stabilize, to provide some extra balance. This leg is going to be the one doing all the work. So you're going to push through the heel of the stance leg, not through the heel of this leg that is out in front. So it looks like this. So this leg is doing all of the work. Of course, doing it this way, you're going to do the reps on this leg and then switch, and you'll do the reps on the other leg. Again, the leg that is out in front is just for stabilization. You're pushing through the stance leg. There are all kinds of advanced techniques you can also use with the hip thrust. You can do things using any of these stances. You could use a regular stance, you could use a B stance, you could use a narrow stance, you could use a wide stance. And while you're doing that, and again, you could use dumbbells, you could use barbells, so many variations. You could add one of these techniques. I'm just going to do it from a standard hip thrust position here. So you could come up to the top and hold a pause. You could hold a pause for 3 full seconds. That's a pretty long time. Okay, so a pause. You could do a 1.5 rep, which means you come up to the top, come down for half a rep, come back up to the top, all the way down. That's 1 rep. I'm going to show you again. This is a 1.5 rep. All the way up, halfway down, all the way up, all the way down. 1.5 reps. You could do what's called a slow eccentric. The eccentric in this is the lowering portion. So, come all the way up to the top as usual, and then lower down. You could lower down to a count of 3 or a count of 5. Nice and slowly. Come back up with power. Lower down. Nice and slowly. Okay, lots of ways you can use this hip thrust in all different rep ranges with all different equipment. Start body weight only with a standard hip thrust. Practice doing that once you can get about, let's go 20 reps. Get 20 reps on that and then try loading it. Try loading it with a dumbbell. From there, you can do all sorts of things. You can move on to the barbell variation. You can move on to single leg ones. Those are super challenging. Keep those just body weight at first until you work your way up. I hope this video has helped. I hope that you have learned all the different things about hip thrust and that you will feel confident in setting it up. I know it can feel a little bit funny. Not as many people do these. It's becoming more and more popular, and you do see more and more people doing these at the gym these days. If you feel a little bit awkward doing this motion, try and face a wall. Do it somewhere that's a little more secluded. I have no problem plopping down in the middle of the gym and doing these. If you do, find somewhere that you feel a little more comfortable doing them. They are such a great move for your glutes. Remember to hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and like this video and leave me a comment and tell me what other exercise tutorials you would like to see from me. All right, catch you next time.